Banks are now required to ensure that at least 90% of their automated banking machines ABM are working at least 95% of the time. That's a key part of new service standards published on Tuesday by the Bank of Jamaica. Siobhan Campbell tells us more.
According to the Bank of Jamaica, deposit-taking institutions, DTIs, have a 9-month transition period to bring themselves into conformity with the guidelines. Under the new rules, a DTI must have a minimum of 90% of ABMs operational at any time. It must also maintain a 95% uptime for operational ABMs. An ABM must not be without cash for a period exceeding 60 minutes in urban and resort areas and 180 minutes in other areas. The BOJ says compliance will be assessed through the BOJ's review and publication of monthly reports from the DTIs. However, no monetary sanctions will be applied as a result of breaches of the guidelines. But non-adherence may give rise to supervisory concerns around safety and soundness, with the attendant supervisory consequences. According to the BOJ, the standards have been issued in a context where a significant number of Jamaicans still rely on cash to conduct transactions. It's the hope of the bank that the service level standards will promote fairer treatment and enhanced protection for financial customers. The issuing of the standards follows consultations with deposit-taking institutions. The availability of ABMs has been a sore point in the public, which triggered a call for action to be taken by the Bank of Jamaica by the opposition PNP. South St. Catherine MP Fitz Jackson last year tabled a motion in Parliament calling for the central bank to set minimum service standards for ABMs. Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
The number of cases of dengue fever recorded in Jamaica since the start of the year has surpassed 11,000. That's according to the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Norige Banton reports.
As of March 27, 11,101 suspected, probable and confirmed cases of dengue were recorded on the island. The figure represents a significant jump in the number of cases recorded across the country since the last update in January. At the time, 1,534 confirmed cases were reported. The ministry says strain 2 of the mosquito-borne virus remains the dominant strain in confirmed cases. It says 23 dengue-related fatalities have been reported. Jamaica also remained above the epidemic threshold in February this year. The ministry says higher case rates were noted in the 1 to 4 and 5 to 14 age groups. St. Thomas, Trelawney, Hanover, and St. James also recorded high cases of the mosquito-borne disease. The ministry noted that the Emergency Operations Center remains activated for monitoring and response to the dengue outbreak. More than 3.5 million dengue cases have been reported in the Caribbean and Latin America. The Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, has warned that the rise in the spread of the disease is cause for concern. Assistant Director of PAHO, Dr. Rhonda Seeley-Thomas, says the Caribbean has recorded more than 25,000 dengue cases.
In the Caribbean, so far for the year, they've reported just over 25,000 cases of dengue, confirmed cases. We've had a few deaths as well. And the most countries most affected include French Guiana, Martinique, Guadeloupe, as the director would have just said, Puerto Rico, and the Dominican Republic. In terms of making sure that we get correct information, PAHO actively engages ministries of health in terms of epidemiology for training to make sure that we have similar case definitions throughout the country so that we can ensure that when a country reports a case of dengue, it's standardized.
Norige Banton for Nationwide News.
President of the Jamaica Teachers Association, JTA, Leighton Johnson, is calling on the Ministry of Education to ensure the funding provided to learning institutions matches the needs of the organizations. Mr. Johnson made the comment during the JTA's 60th Annual Education Conference held at the Eden Bay Hotel in Trelawney on Tuesday. Mahira Stewart has that story.
The JTA's 60th Annual Conference is being held under the theme Full Steam Ahead, Advancing Digital and Future Skills. The theme references the sector's push for better implementation of STEAM, which stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, the Arts, and Mathematics. The JTA president cited factors such as population and school programs as ones that influence the level of funding a school requires.
I therefore urge the Ministry of Education at this time to review its funding arrangements for our schools and ensure that allocations made to schools are done equitably. It is no secret that some schools need more resources than others based on the levels of students enrolled and the programs required to make those students functional.
As part of the push for STEAM implementation, Mr. Johnson wants to see adequate funding issued to ensure that schools island-wide have the necessary broadband connectivity.
Minister, urgent attention must be given to those institutions that do not have consistent and stable internet connectivity, as well as those early childhood and primary schools that need assistance in establishing a constant and reliable network across their compounds so that everybody has access to internet wherever they are on their compounds.
The JTA president is urging stakeholders to help contribute to the association's goals of providing up-to-date technology for classrooms island-wide.
We continue to urge our corporate sponsors to partner with our educational institutions to provide more mobile labs and other essential technological resources to ensure that our students receive the best possible educational experiences which are aligned to 21st century global standards.
Mahir Stewart for Nationwide News.
The National Environment and Planning Agency NEPA has a new Chief Executive Officer. Leonard Francis has succeeded Peter Knight as head of Jamaica's Environmental Regulatory Agency. His appointment took effect on Tuesday, April 2. Mr. Knight retired on March 31. NEPA has described Leonard Francis as a seasoned expert, referencing his 2 decades of experience in environment and planning. He previously served as NEPA's director of the director of NEPA's Spatial Planning Division. NEPA says Mr. Francis, while serving in this role, showcased an aptitude for leadership and strategic planning. He holds a master's degree in planning from the University of Ryerson in Toronto, Canada, and an MBA in public sector management from the UWI Mona. He also serves as an adjunct lecturer at the University of Technology in the Urban and Regional Planning Program. Opposition spokesperson on social transformation and social protection, Patricia Duncan Sutherland, is rejecting the move by the Minister of Labour and Social Security, Pernell Charles, to give consideration to a suggestion that councillors and members of Parliament be formally included in the process to select PATH beneficiaries. The suggestion was made last week by PNP caretaker for the Independence City Division in St. Catherine, Junior Gale, at a PATH town hall meeting.
We are not in agreement with this, as this would run the risk of political victimization of the PATH beneficiaries. As we progress as a democracy, this would be a retrograde step for us. The work of the selection of PATH beneficiaries should continue to be the work of social workers, and that process needs to be improved, and we agree with that.
Arguing that politicians sometimes misuse state resources, Mrs. Duncan Sutherland cited controversial comments by MP for Southwest St. Catherine, Everald Warmington, which led to his sacking as Works Minister.
Recently, Warmington, when he was a cabinet minister, indicated that he was willing to use his position as cabinet minister to ensure that the PNP council in his constituency did not get any work done through the ministry he was in charge of. This is a clear example of a politician willing to use his office for the purposes of political victimization. The role of the representative should be in referring persons to the PATH office, and that the PATH office must have the responsibility of providing a comprehensive list of benefits to all elected representatives, so that as we interact on the ground with our constituents, we can indicate what are the appropriate benefits that would help any particular constituent.
Patricia Duncan Sutherland, opposition spokesperson on social transformation and social protection. Rastafari elder Muta Baruka says the government continues to lag in its efforts to compensate Rastafari who were impacted by the Coral Gardens massacre. The massacre refers to a series of events in April 1963 in Montego Bay, St. James, where police and military personnel detained and tortured Rastafarians. 8 people were killed in the related incidents, including 2 policemen and 3 Rastafarians.
Well, the more that should be done, well, them have to do something first before they say the more, because there's so much promises that have been made. Some is going through, but we realize the time government takes to do things, especially in this case. A lot of the elders, them who should have get the help pathway, so it's not like you can't go and wait, because it's people's lives you deal with. And right now, we see most of the brethren them and the sisters them who didn't involved in the Coral Garden thing, them pathway.
The government issued a formal apology in 2017 and established a trust fund for survivors of the incident. Last Friday, the National Security Minister, Dr. Horace Chang, disclosed that a formal transfer of lands at Albion Heights in St. James to the Coral Gardens Benevolent Society should happen within the first quarter of this fiscal year. Dr. Chang made the pronouncement during a ceremony to mark the 61st commemoration of the massacre. Muta Baruka says he hopes there will be no delay.
The minister of the year come with an argument and say by June himself, specifically say June. So we're going to see what will happen. We can't say, well, feel jump up in the ear about it because it's a long time them say they're going to do this thing. Bob the Grange also say some things and we should make some move. But we really need to see something happen before we can jump up and say, Ray, something is happening, Because as far as I can see, it's laga until only for 1 year, call me an elder now. This thing I go and go from your picnic.
Muta Baruka, Rastafari elder, he was speaking on Nationwide at 5 on Tuesday. President of the Jamaica Agricultural Society, JAS, Lenworth Fulton, has applauded the government's move to revamp the island's dairy sector. The announcement was made last Thursday by Agriculture Minister Floyd Green.
Dairying is very important to Jamaica. We have been consuming roughly about 70 million liters of milk, or the equivalent in milk powder. It would rejuvenate the work of T.P. Lecky and work from Dr. the Honorable Carl Wellington and those persons. And it would bring into focus further developmental work and the Jamaica Hope. So it's a good move all around, and the Jamaica Agricultural Society supports it.
That's Lenworth Fulton, the president of the JAS. Regional news now, international news rather. Taiwan has been struck by its most powerful earthquake in 25 years, measuring 7.4 in magnitude. Officials have confirmed at least 9 people have died, while rescuers are searching for more than 100 others trapped beneath rubble. Officials say 5 of the dead, including 3 hikers on a nearby trail, died from falling rocks. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, the epicenter was located about 18 kilometers or 18 miles south of Taiwan's Hualien city. The remote mountainous region of Hualien was rocked by huge landslides, causing damage which could take weeks to repair. Tremors were felt as far as the capital Taipei, with videos showing buildings shaking violently. The quake initially set off tsunami warnings on the island and the neighboring countries, some of which have since been retracted.